Hello and welcome to Season 4 of the Beetlejuice My GM mode. We finished Season 3 the last episode. Season 4 is here. We're going to get ready to draft our new roster, see who we keep from the previous season. And this will be the final season of Beetlejuice My GM mode. So if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, check out the other videos, check out WWE 2K22's Beetlejuice My GM mode, and enjoy as we do a little recap of what everyone's records were from Season 3. We have our Universal Champion, LA Knight, yeah! Took him a while to beat Piper for that Universal title 3 times, third time he finally beat him. 10 and 14 record, 1-time Universal Champion, 1-time Intercontinental Champion, 2-time Tag Team Champion, and 1-time MVP. We have our women's champion, Stacy Keibler. I thought she was going to lose the title to Alexa, but she said, and she won it right back. 7 and 12 record, 2-time women's champ, 1-time MVP. We have our Intercontinental Champion, John Cena, and he just can't stop. He can't stop winning. He can't stop winning titles. 28 and 20 record, 4-time Universal Champion, 3-time Intercontinental Champion, 3-time Tag Team Champion, and 5-time MVP. We have one half of our female tag team's champion, Charlotte Flair. She was able to do it last episode, win every prize we have for the women. 8 and 6 record, 1-time women's champ, 1-time women's tag team champ, and 1-time MVP. We have the other half of our women's tag champs, Lacey Evans, with a 7 and 9 record, 2-time tag champ. We have one half of our men's tag team champion, Seth Rollins, with a 16 and 10 record, 3-time Intercontinental Champion, 2-time tag team champion, and 1-time MVP. We have the other half of our men's tag team champion, Stone Cold Steve Austin, with a 17 and 16 record, 1-time Universal Champion, 1-time tag team champion, and 1-time MVP. We have Drew McIntyre with an 8 and 6 record, 1-time Intercontinental Champion, 1-time MVP. We have Finn Balor with an 8 and 7 record, 1-time tag team champion, 1-time MVP. We have Nikita Lyons with a 12 and 12 record, 1-time women's champion, 1-time tag champ, and 2-time MVP. We have Rowdy Roddy Piper, who did not want to give up that Universal Championship. Almost went 4-0 last episode. He lost one time, and that was the one time that mattered. 5 and 5 record, 2-time Universal Champion. We have the goddess, Alexa Bliss. She won the women's title, then she lost it. 2 and 2 record, 1-time women's champ. We have the glorious Robert Roode with a 16 and 25 record, 2-time Universal Champion, 2-time Intercontinental Champion, 2-time Tag Team Champion, and 1-time MVP. We have the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, the Needle Mover, with a 6 and 11 record, 2-time Universal Champion, 1-time Intercontinental Champion, and 1-time MVP. We have Zelina Vega with a 7 and 10 record, 1-time women's champ, 1-time tag champ, and 1-time MVP. We have Tyler Bate, who did not have a good time last episode, going 0 and 4. He now has a 5 and 12 record, 2-time Universal Champion, 1-time MVP. We have Sheamus, who also didn't have a good time last episode, losing the Intercontinental Championship, but now you look at him, 9 and 14 record, 1-time Intercontinental Champion, 1-time tag team champion. We have The Miz with the most losses in My GM mode history, with a 12 and 32 record, 1-time Intercontinental Champion, 1-time Tag Team Champion. We have Stratusfaction, Trish Stratus with a 5 and 11 record and a 1-time Tag Team Champion. Here we are starting Season 4 of My GM mode, and we look at our roster. We have a lot of people who are like 90 above popularity. And it was tough, but we go with Elias because, he's new, he's different. Bring some fresh face. We bring in our Universal Champion LA Knight. We're looking. There's Seth Rollins, there's Finn Balor, Queen Zelina, Charlotte Flair, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, The Miz, Robert Roode, Cena, The Miz, Robert Roode. All three of those guys have been with us this entire GM series. But we bring back the IC champ John Cena. And we see who SmackDown, Raw, and NXT all brought back. Karen stays on Raw. That's tough. Draft time, T-Bar gets selected by Raw with the first pick. Candice LeRae gets picked by NXT next. Then we bring back Alexa Bliss with our first pick. And then Alba Fire goes to Raw. Then we have Mace going back to NXT. And then we bring back Raquel Rodriguez. It's been so long for her. Raw then picks up Big E. NXT goes and picks Aximum. And then we go and we bring back Robert Roode. He stays, baby. MVP going to Raw. Then we have Natalya going to NXT. And then we're considering Bailey, and we're like, screw it, she's coming back to SmackDown. Tommaso Ciampa goes to Raw. Then we have Johnny Gargano going to NXT DIY gone. Randy Orton coming back to SmackDown. Ooh, I'm happy about that. Angelo Dawkins to Raw. Then we have Io Sky to NXT. And then we bring Gigi back to SmackDown. Akira Tozawa goes back to Monday Night Raw. Doudrop goes to NXT. And we're looking at Seth. He's the man. And we're like, you know what? Come back to SmackDown. You have Indy Hartwell to Raw. We have Ridge Holland to NXT. Then we bring Mommy Rhea Ripley to SmackDown. Charlotte Flair goes back to Raw. We have Damian Priest to NXT. And then you see our final roster. We're done. No more money for us. Butch to Raw. And then you have JD McDonough to NXT, Mustafa Ali to Raw, and that's it for Monday Night Raw. Then NXT, that's their roster as well. And you see the rosters. I mean, we brought back a lot of former wrestlers, some new ones. Let's see how we go this season. Alright, we have the new Friday Night SmackDown roster, brought back some old wrestlers. Let's see how we do. We're using the Legend Whisperer to bring in a wrestler like always. We're bringing back Trish Stratus. She started last season, we just want it. Then we used Birth of the Legends. Wasted it on LA Knight and Elias, but it's okay. Why not? We're starting off SmackDown looking for a new women's champion with Alexa Bliss versus Trish Stratus versus Bayley versus Mommy Rhea Ripley, and Alexa Bliss wins back the SmackDown Women's title she won last season against Stacy Keibler, then lost. We turned Randy Orton into a heel. We want that crazy Randy Orton. NXT loved this rivalry, Gigi and Raquel, so we do it. And Raquel picks up the win here on SmackDown in a good match. Doing some advertising with Cena. He has enough pop. Elias versus Robert Roode. Two of our guys from last season. Elias picks up the win. Looking forward to build up Elias. LA Knight versus Seth Rollins for the Universal title. And Seth freaking Rollins beats LA Knight. Wow. NXT starts off the new season. Damian Priest versus Karrion Kross. TLC and Karrion Kross picks up the win in an amazing match. They're doing promos this time. Candice LeRae does charity. Mace versus Axum for that North American title. And Mace is your new NXT North American champion. Doudrop does a self promo. Gargano versus JD McDonough. Crazy how DIY got drafted back to back. JD McDonough picks up the win in a disappointing match. Ridge Holland cuts a promo. Io Sky versus Natalya in an Iron Woman match, and Natalya picks up the win. Raw starts off with Dewey Carter vs. T-Bar. Dewey Carter 100 pop crazy, and he's their WWE champion. Amazing match. Indy Hartwell doing a promo. Tag team action. Butch and Big E versus MVP and Tommaso. And Butch and Big E pick up the win in a mediocre match. Alba Fire cutting a self promo. U.S. title on the line. Angelo versus Akira versus Mustafa Ali. And Mustafa Ali wins the United States Championship. Charlotte Flair back on Raw calls out Alba Fire. Liv versus Karen for that women's title. And Liv picks up the win. She's the champ, but we're still the champ.
He ain't got no match for me.
New season, same old dialogue, NXT, wishing us luck, talking trash, same thing with Raw. Nothing really new, same old, same old. LA Knight upset he lost the title, I would too, he just won it, lost it, he wants a rematch, he gets it, yeah. Then Gigi, she's upset that she's losing all the time. We're picking up a legend we haven't had before, RVD. Then we have Cena versus Randy Orton for the IC title. This is what we wanted. Cena picks up the win, but we're bringing back that Cena-Randy Orton rivalry. Alexa Bliss doing some advertising. She's the new champ. Tag team match for the title. Gigi and Bayley versus Raquel and Trish. Mommy runs in. It's a DQ finish. No champion. Sad about that. Elias doing some advertising. Robert Roode versus the new wrestler RVD. And Robert Roode beats the newcomer RVD. LA Knight wanted the title match. He goes against Seth Rollins and he wins the title back. Yeah. We have Natalya versus Io again. This time a last woman standing match instead of an Iron Woman match. Natalya picks up the win 2 weeks in a row. Damian Priest cuts a promo. We have JD McDonough and Mace versus Braun and Johnny Gargano. Tag team action, and Braun and Johnny Gargano pick up the win. Karrion Kross calls out Damian Priest. We have Humberto and Ridge Holland versus R-Truth and Axum, and Ridge and Humberto pick up the win. Xavier didn't do a promo there. Dana Brooke defends the title against Candice LeRae. She wins with Doudrop's interference. We have Indy Hartwell versus Bianca Belair one-on-one to start off Raw, and Bianca picks up the win, starting a rivalry. Big E does a promo, building up Big E. Charlotte Flair calls out Alba Fire. Now they have a match, and the Queen returns to Raw. Immediately wins after spending time on SmackDown. Karen Compactor does some charity. Akira and Tommaso versus Mustafa Ali and Butch. Tommaso Ciampa and Akira Tozawa pick up the win, starting a rivalry. Liv calls out Karen. Then you have MVP versus Angelo versus Dewey Carter for the WWE title. And Dewey Carter picks up the win in a great match. And we're still winning because we're great.
Love that shit.
We have Gigi upset that she's losing. It's not our fault. Trish is upset that Rhea attacked her. She wants a match against Mommy. You got it. Then we see main event Jey Uso. And I thought about it. I was like, no Jimmy, but screw it. Main event Jey Uso coming to SmackDown. Continuing the Cena versus Randy feud. Gotta love that vintage feud. Cena picks up the win. We're trying to get Randy's pop up there. Alexa Bliss calls out Bayley. Then we have SmackDown Tag Title on the line. Jay and Robert versus Rob Van Dam and Elias with another DQ finish. We just can't have tag champs. But you see our ability. Rivalry up to 2. Then we have Bayley call out Alexa. Mommy versus Trish. We gave Trish what she wanted. She beats Mommy. And it continues the rivalry. Then you have Gigi doing a self-promo, building her up. LA Knight versus Rollins. No title on the line. Just who's better. And LA Knight picks up the win. Yeah. Karrion Kross called out Damian Priest, and now they get their one-on-one match, and Karrion Kross called him out and backed it up, beats him in a great match. JD McDonough cuts a self-promo. R-Truth versus Ridge Holland. They went against each other in a tag team match, now one-on-one, and R-Truth picks up the win after he losing that tag team match. Johnny Gargano cuts a promo. Mace versus Axum one-on-one. And we have Mace picking up the win against Axum, starting a rivalry. Doudrop doing some charity. Io versus Natalya yet again in an Iron Woman match again. And Natalya 3-0 against Io so far. After that WWE Triple Threat match, Angelo and MVP get in a backstage brawl, and MVP picks up the win, starting a rivalry. Big E calls out T-Bar. Charlotte Flair versus Alba Part 2. Can Charlotte Flair continue her hot momentum on Raw? And she does. 2-0 against Alba Fire. T-Bar cuts a promo. Then you have Bianca versus Indy. After all those call-outs, we get a match. Bianca picks up the win. She's like 2-0 against Indy now. Then you have Dewey Carter doing some charity. So Raw does a tag team match. Butch and Mustafa Ali versus Akira and Tommaso, and they pick up the win, just like how we're winning. We have Trish grateful we gave her a rematch against Rhea Ripley. We're just a good GM. Speaking of good GMs, Cena wants to team up with Seth Rollins. You got it. It gets Seth Rollins away from LA Knight for a little bit. And then we go and we bring Lita back to Friday night. And we start a war against Raw. We give Cena his wish, teaming up with Seth against LA Knight and Randy for those tag titles. And LA Knight and Randy pick up the win.
It's LA Knight's game. Yeah.
LA Knight double champ now. We turned Lita heel after she was a face and then heel. We did a lot of switching. Robert Roode versus RVD again. Robert Roode just continues to beat the newcomer RVD. Welcome to SmackDown. Raquel does a promo. Elias versus the newcomer Jey Uso. And speaking of beating newcomers, Elias beats Jey Uso, starts a promo rivalry. Gigi does a promo, I mean. Alexa versus Bayley versus Rhea versus Trish. Fatal 4-way, and Trish picks up the win. Dana Brooke versus Candice LeRae. Extreme Rules, no title on the line. Dana Brooke 2-0 against Candice LeRae right now. Karrion Kross cuts a promo. Humberto versus Johnny Gargano, one-on-one action. And Humberto picks up the win against Johnny Wrestling. Then we have JD McDonough cutting a promo. Doudrop versus Io because Natalya got injured. And Io can finally get wins now that Natalya's off the show. We have Ridge Holland calling out R-Truth, upset he lost. Axum versus Mace for that North American Championship, and Mace defends his title. A rematch, Butch and Mustafa Ali versus Tommaso Ciampa and Akira Tozawa for those tag titles, and Mustafa Ali and Butch Avenger lost, take the titles. Angelo Dawkins cutting self-promo. The trilogy, Alba Fire and Charlotte Flair for the third time, and Charlotte Flair is 3-0 against Alba Fire. It is not looking good for her. Indy calls out Bianca. T-Bar versus Dewey Carter, Extreme Rules, and the champ continues to just dominate on Raw. MVP cutting a promo. Karen Compactor versus Liv after the call-outs for the women's title, and Liv picks up the win and defends her title like we defend our top 5.
I got it right wrong, brother.
Raw gets back at us for using a card on them. And then we have Triple H letting us know the power card was used. John Cena's happy that we gave him the tag team match with Seth, even though they didn't pick up the win. We're just that good. Speaking of good, we see the American Nightmare. We bring back Cody Rhodes.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
We also bring back Nikki Bella. We feel bad she hasn't won a match. Then we have Survivor Series, Alexa Bliss versus Bayley for the women's title. And Bayley, ooh, she's red hot on SmackDown right now, winning that title. Cody Rhodes cutting a promo. IC title match, Fatal 4-Way, Cena versus Randy versus RVD versus Robert Roode. And Robert Roode picks up the win.
Glorious!
Your new IC champ, Elias, doing some advertising. Women's tag titles on the line. Nikki and Raquel versus Lita and Gigi. We brought Lita and Nikki in. And Nikki finally gets a win. Raquel lifts her up. Jey Uso doing some advertising. Rhea versus Trish, finishing their rivalry. Mommy, she picks up the win. Beats Trish, the legend. LA Knight versus Seth ended. Falls count anyway for that Universal title. And it stops flip-flopping. Seth wins. NXT continues Doudrop versus Io Sky in an Extreme Rules match, and Doudrop beats Io Sky. Not looking good for Io, and Io gets injured. Humberto cuts a self-promo. We get to see them NXT tag titles, Johnny and Braun versus Mason JD McDonough. Braun and Johnny Gargano, your new NXT champs, the Giant and the Wrestler. R-Truth versus Rich Holland, continuing that rivalry. What's up with that? R-Truth picks up the win. Karrion Kross versus Damian Priest, last man standing match. Action runs in, caused Karrion Kross the match. Damian Priest picks up the win. Candice LeRae versus Dana Brooke for the NXT Women's title, Hell in a Cell, and Candice LeRae picks up the win, your new champ. Alba Fire gets one more shot against Charlotte, finishing the rivalry, and Alba Fire beats the red-hot Charlotte Flair, completing the rivalry. Mustafa Ali cuts a promo. Big E versus Tommaso Ciampa in an Iron Man match, and Tommaso Ciampa picks up the win against Big E, starts a rivalry. T-Bar calls out the champ, Dewey Carter. Indy Hartwell versus Bianca Belair. They've been feuding, and Bianca's been kicking ass in a good match. Dewey Carter then calls out T-Bar. Ooh, Angelo Dawkins versus MVP. One-on-one, MVP continues to just beat up on Angelo Dawkins. Butch doing some charity. Then we have Karen Compactor, Hell in a Cell against Liv. Karen wants that title back desperately, but Liv will not give up that top spot, just like we won't.
Think it's funny.
Right.
It's not fucking funny.
After the pay-per-view, we have RVD telling us his contract's running out. We say, of course we're bringing back the one-of-a-kind Rob Van Dam. Just came to SmackDown. Xavier Woods wants some tips. The tip is just be good. It's just that easy. Raquel, she's happy to be on SmackDown, but she wants a main event. You got it. She could do more. Then we have Gigi. She's upset about losing Raquel all the time. It's not our fault, Gigi. Just get a win. Alright, we're nearing the end of the episode. We get a shake-up after the pay-per-view like we always do. There's some interesting ones. The classic booking, the overtime, the ultimate betrayal. I'm looking at it. I don't really use GM interference. The specialist superstars losing stamina. I just don't see it. It's not... I don't want them losing stamina. Classic booking's your best. Fan favorites gaining morale. Rule breakers gaining popularity. It's just the best of both worlds. And we get to see all our wrestlers go up and just wow. Look at all those wrestlers just going up. I hope you enjoyed. Like the video, subscribe, and see you all next time.